Hey everybody, we back here at the Logan Power Show. It's me, your host, Calvin Logan. We are here to do a faith fight. We're here to make a difference. I'm here with a power-packed community activist group that wants to make it happen for the people because they want the people to have a voice. I have with me Pastor Dixon, and I have Poppa Smurf. How you doing?
All right.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Oh, yes. They're with the Coalition People United to back our community. So we're going to get right down to it because I know you guys have a lot of questions and answers. As you can see, I'm not a biased person. We here at the Logan Power Show want the people to be empowered and find out who's really making a difference out here in this community. It's enough time of just talking. It's time to make some action happen. Now, Pastor Dixon, since you are one of the pioneers for this group, how did this come about? You said you are a pastor and you started a group called the Coalition. How did this start? How did this all come about?
Yes, well, a few years ago, although I had started my own ministry, had established my own church, about a few years ago, I got antsy in that spot. I felt like I really wasn't fulfilling my calling. And so I left the four-wall ministry. I left that pulpit ministry and hit the streets. Started going down into the Wayland to see what was going on down there, Ackerby, Bayside, all of those places I used to frequent when I was about that life out there. I used to be about that life, you know. For about 30 years of my life, coast to coast, I was about that life. So all of those dives and places that I considered the low end, those are the places I started going back to now as this changed individual. And I found out that that's really where I needed to be at.
Sure.
Actually ministering to people one-on-one, not beating them up with a Bible, not steadily preaching to them, but just trying to find out how I could help them, what I could do to help. Now, because we have this situation in our communities of violence and things like that, we sort of gravitated to what we could do to change that around. Right. And we started looking at law enforcement's part that was being played in that. And we found out that there was some discrepancies going on that we needed to address. And the Coalition came about because we, as we sought to address those issues, we were approached by a group called the South Carolina Rhinos and another group called Sitting on Chrome. They're car clubs. And what they did was they came and they had a problem as far as profiling because they have nice cars. They were being stopped regularly in North Charleston, and they asked myself, and I was partnered up with Elder James Johnson of National Action Network at that time, what could we do to help them with that situation? So we decided that we would start a plan, we would implement a plan to have the car clubs begin riding through the communities and talking to the children. But as they did that, they ran into a problem in the communities that was really even more disturbing than the problem with the law enforcement, which was the fact that when the little children in the community saw them in the nice rides and everything, and they come up to them, the question that they would ask was, what kind of dope are you selling to have this nice ride? So now what they did was, in order to turn that around, they started talking to the children about having a nice car and nice things by getting education, by working, by doing the things necessary in order to legally obtain these things and not to look up to the drug dealers and whatever. That's actually how the Coalition got started.
Wow. Hey, so you can see, people, this is what we talk about. Real empowerment of people, not judging a book by its cover. That's the problem we have a lot of people. Sometimes people get caught up in, stereotyping, thinking you know somebody when you really don't know them. You think two groups decided, let's bring it together. And by bringing it together, even the community themselves has stereotyped what they were doing, so they educate the community on how they're actually making an impact and what to do to the next level. Let's be honest. I tell people all the time, you can do the wrong thing right now and make what's called the quick money. It's evident. You see it all the time. You see you can see a movie, you can see a TV show, you can probably get an app. You can probably even go online, YouTube it, and probably find out how to do something wrong, make a quick money. But the problem is we don't talk about is the consequence.
Exactly.
We always give that quick speech, well, you know, you got to cut the corners. Well, you know, for me, from my perspective, you can't cut corners. You can't do these things. You have to make sure that you're doing it step by step, strong foundation. And that's what these people are doing. Pastor Dick kind enough to come on the show with Poppa Smurf. I reached out to him from a good friend of mine that I was coaching baseball with, and he told me, say, hey, these people are doing some great things in the community. So for me, I'm a community activist. I have kids, 8, 5, and 1. My daughter's 8, my son is 5, my baby boy is 1. So for me, my community matters. You know, I pray for everybody, from the police department. I'm in the military, pray for the military. I pray for every pastor, pray for the leaders of this nation and all other nations. People understand it's not just the United States you got to pray for. You got to pray for everybody.
Exactly.
And you got to take care of the whole entire community.
Exactly.
It's not just it's not just you. I mean, this is a great nation. How I can tell it, if you step on a certain place outside this country, what you call suffering here is probably 10 times worse in a place that doesn't have it there. So let's make a difference. So that's where I'm really at right now. For you, Poppa Smurf, I know you're a pioneer also. What are some of the testimonials that you can say you remember off your head, like one that stood out that happened from you doing this coalition?
Well, basically, I was actually blessed to meet Pastor. I was actually doing my own thing. And through that, what it was I actually got incarcerated. I was involved in some very big illicit drugs. And I realized that I was tired of it and that I could be more effective if I changed myself when I go on back out in the community. So what I did is I started to read and I educated myself. I have several different degrees, but it was all self. I did that myself. And when I hit the streets, I realized that it was starting to, the change was really being drastic, where I was seeing people coming and getting incarcerated at the age of 17 with a 30-year sentence. And I'm trying to figure out how could someone, it take them 30 years to get their life together. So I said, in order to get to these youths, I have to be the example. So that's what I did. I went and I corrected myself. And when I realized that there was a piece missing from all the good that I was doing in the community, I had to go search for it. And that was spirituality. So what I did was I didn't want to pick no individual because it's a universal thing. What I did was I started going to different ideologies. And I studied those ideologies. And I needed someone to kind of coach me. I didn't know the direction I was going with the spirituality. So I had wonderful events, but through those events, I still was missing that aspect. And that's when I got with Pastor Dixon and we started working, combining our efforts. You know, I'm very youth-oriented, and we went head forward. And going head forward, we've been very successful, you know.
Okay, see, that's something that we don't really talk about in our community. You know, for me, just talking about personal experience, I remember a police officer pretty much saved my life earlier in the game.
There you go.
I would have got in trouble for something real small. He gave me the ticket, told me to show up in court. Turned out, when I went to court, they couldn't even find the ticket.
Wow.
The police officer, for instance, took upon it himself to say, I'm not gonna let this young man go down for something.
Wonderful.
I know that he could have detrimented his whole entire life. Because people understand, like on a job application, which, you know, and definitely for those who had a pandemic, incarcerated, you're looking for work, let us know so we can put you into the right people's hands.
Exactly.
Let's be honest, on a job application, just for, we all know, if you say you've been convicted, hands down, 90% of the time, it's gonna be hard to get a job.
Right.
Let's be honest. Let's be truthful. Let's be honest how things go. Things that, you know, it's kind of hard. Like, you know, you got the staffing agencies that give you those jobs, but they're temporal.
Right.
They're nothing permanent.
Exactly.
So for a person that's having a rough time, and you say, okay, or you say you basically got a degree, you got this experience, but a big time corporation want to pay you nickels to a dollar for a job that you can probably make 20 times the amount if you gave them the opportunity worth it. See, for me at the Logan Power Show, I would love to hire more people. I would love to be able to, we want to be nationwide, worldwide. We want to partner with people like Pastor Dixon, like Poppa Smurf, the coalition. We want to partner with everybody, white, black. I don't really care because, see, this is the thing. I feel that second chance is not limited to the second chance. Second chance could be 50 chances down the road because you don't know when that person's time going to turn.
Exactly.
Just like you just mentioned. I was incarcerated, and I can tell people from this personal experience now, people make sound like jail and prison is the greatest thing in the world. And like, you know, man, I'll be locked up for like 20 years and, you know, I'll be out and it's just fine. Okay, that's you. Understand this. Me and Logan, I can do 20 years, 10 years, a year, 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, a week. You tell me I got a week, we got a problem. I'm praying about that. Me and God gonna have to understand.
Yes, sir.
Me and God gonna talk about this.
Okay.
Lord, you know, I can't do that. You know, I've been to military boot camp, United States Marine Corps, 90 days, Paris Island. I can testify. It felt like a prison.
Right.
And not saying like that, but it's the thing about it, you're secluded.
Exactly.
You're told when to get up, when to go to bed, when to work out, when to do this, when to eat, how fast to eat. That is like prison. I don't care what anyone says.
Freedom's taken away.
The freedom is taken away. When you lose that freedom, and that's what people don't talk about, the freedom part. Like for me, you know, people say, "Oh, Calvin, you a square." I've always told people like this: I could have been an excellent drug dealer, probably one of the greatest of all time. And I don't say I did drugs. I said I could have been. The option has always been there for me. My mother and father were the biggest ones that would have beat the black off me. My mom was taught beat the black off me. That was her biggest quote. She tell her students all the time, "I'll beat the black." I said, "Mom, the kid's white. How you think you beat the black?" Well, that's all my students. I love them all. So I think that's where we have to have an understanding is that it sounds great, the fast money. You make it sound like, man, I'll do like my boy did. He do like a year and he made $1 million. No, it doesn't work that way. Because the people don't talk about that. There's 330 plus million people in the United States of America. That happened to one person. So the percentage of you saying you've been locked up for a year, you're gonna make $1 million the next year, kind of slim to none. You gotta understand this, starting from the bottom, and we don't have this grasp is that, you know, there's no shame in getting dirty. I work for a construction company right now. I've worked cell phone. I've done the worst of the worst. I've done the best of the best. I just love what I'm doing right now, and I'm having a good time. So for me, I want young people to understand this. There's no such thing as fast money, because fast money is gonna be gone money, or it's gonna be you in jail money, pretty much.
Well, you missed something now. There's an alternative to jail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they got a bunch of fields over here full of them now.
The graveside.
You know?
The graveside.
So don't leave out. Give them the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
And they're still recruiting.
Still recruiting. Yeah, because people make it sound like a funeral. That's the hot. Oh, he went down. He went down in honor. I like. Oh, the only way you go down in honor, ladies and gentlemen, is if you are military, serving your country, the police department, fire department. You save someone's life. That's honor. Dying for something that has no relevance, that's not honor. I'm telling you this right now. I don't care what your boy tells you, what your homegirl tells you, none of that. Let me tell you something. You may have the biggest funeral since possible, but at the end of the day, the next day, you will be forgotten.
Exactly.
That's one of the advantages to what we do as the coalition, because both of us came from that background.
Yes.
Yeah, Pastor got a record. Pastor been up. I got a number. That's right. But that man, I left behind years ago, and I felt an obligation to change and to make better the things that I had helped to mess up. And that's why I do what I do right now. There's no financial benefits in it. We don't get paid. We don't do any. At least we don't get paid financially. The rewards are infinitely more great. that we have every day, because we can sleep well knowing that we've at least tried to help our community to restore itself to the greatness that it once was. We do what we do because we love our people.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the bottom line about it. We love our people, so we get out here every day and we grind for these children out here, for the teens, for the adults, and we're relatable on all these different areas. We're going back to how it got started. When we partnered up with the car clubs, Therese Legree and his team of South Carolina Rhinos, we found ourselves, because myself and Elder Johnson understood that at 60 years old, I'm gonna just throw that number out there, at 60 years old, the young ones weren't relating to us. They didn't want to hear what we had to say, especially teens. Even in the 40s, the 30-year-olds didn't want to hear what we had to say.
Right.
We were too old. We were irrelevant. So when we partnered up with these car clubs now, all of a sudden we had a voice with the 20, 30-year-old group. Now we're training them in order to deliver the message that we need them to give to the community. Now we have a voice with the teens that we can get across the need for change and how we can effectively make that change. You know, so it was calculated now. It was calculated but orchestrated by God.
Definitely. I think that's where you have to take ministry from one level to the other. But a question that I have, and something that, you know, people that are watching, and definitely if you have any questions for them or things you want to ask, definitely contact us now. Facebook, Twitter. Give them a call, because they'll educate you, and then also they'll help you in time of need. What do you tell a young person, hypothetically speaking, what you've been through? I've heard that already. That's, you know, you're too old, Doc. I've heard that 1,001 times. You know, yeah, you've been locked up. Yeah, that's back in the day.
Right.
This is now. You know what I'm saying? I can get away with it. What do you tell a community that is dying? It's been going on for decades now.
Right.
Change is like watered down soda.
Okay.
No relevance, no substance at all. What do you tell that community that has been going through the motions? How do you rebuild that kind of community?
Well, basically, you know, and that's a wonderful question, and
Yes,
we face with that all the time. And to your listening audience, which I know is vast, one of the things I encourage people is, in order to change, you have to want to change. And a lot of people say, "Oh man, I can work in McDonald's and make $7, but I can go on the corner and I can make $100." Yes, but there's consequences to that. One of the things that really hurt me about my state, because I was very good at it too. You know, one of the things was I never used it, so that made it easier for me to sell. But one of the things that I started to realize is I was missing my parents. I was missing my children. These are the things you start to relate to when you get incarcerated, to say, no, I'm not going to tell you this is the lifestyle that's in your best interest. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you through my lifestyle. See, like, I've been down the hallway, and I see the boogeyman down there. And I see you coming. I'm going to tell you, don't come this way. The boogeyman's there.
Down there.
You know? My life is a living testimony. Now, I'm a little younger than Pastor Dixon. And I'm known in the community because I DJ and I'm involved in the club scene. But a lot of people see the change. See, we can always sit out here and tell the kids, oh, stop doing this, stop doing this. And like you said, that's a watered-down version. But now when they see it, Mr. Logan, when they see Mr. Logan coming from the height, when you're coming off Reed Street, when you're coming off Drake Street, and they see you constantly changing, not necessarily by your verbiage, but by the way you dress, by the way you walk, by the things you do.
There.
You know what I'm saying? These are the things that we emphasize. We're not out here preaching to no one.
No.
We're living our lives in a manner where when someone looks at us and say, they ask us, what did you do to get like that? That's when I can go in. Because I don't want to teach no one. I want to awaken them.
Got you. That's one of the best things that I can tell people, is that you want to be able to teach the ones by example.
Yes, sir.
Live the life. And that's all I wanted to do, is people to understand, let's live this life to the fullest.
Right.
Now, before we go, because I know we're having a great time. I'm on Pastor
Loving
Dixon.
it.
I'm loving it. I know we're going to have them back again. I know you guys are fired up and you want to hear some more what they're doing. Pastor Dixon, for you to let the viewing audience know, what is it that you want to see happen in these next 3 to 5 years in this community?
First off, dealing with the coalition, one of the primary things that I would love to see happen is that we have more people come in and get involved with the message and the mission that we're putting forth.
Exactly.
Not in order to create followers, because that's not what we do. We're not in this to have followers. I don't care anything about a following. What we're trying to do, though, is create the leaders of the future.
There you go.
I don't know how long I've got left. I don't know how long Smurf got left. But the one thing that we do know is that when we go, we want to make sure that we've set up our community
Yes, sir.
with people that have been taught and tutored along the way in the right way to manage the community that's going to be left behind.
Exactly.
I got to know that my children and their children are in good hands.
Right.
What I'd like to see further beyond that next 3 to 5 years, I'd like to see a regrowth of unity in the community.
Exactly, Pastor.
The concept of the village, once again, coming back into play, where a village does raise the children and we respect one another. I'd like to see the decrease, a rapid decrease in negative imagery that's being placed on our community, and a rapid increase in positive imagery.
Yes.
Because I believe if you change the mind, you change the man. You change the man, you change the neighborhood. You change the neighborhood, you change the nation.
Right.
And what we want to do is to change the nation, because if it's not safe here for my children, it's not safe in California for their children.
Wow. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's what the spoken word has been said. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, we want to make these dollars turn in our community 10 times over.
Yes.
Not just by a second, 10 times over.
Yes, sir.
So for all those out there, hey, I'm having a ball. Thank you again for tuning in to the Logan Power Show, where we make things happen for the community. Hey, I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.